Hi, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. If you've never been here before, click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on SouFLoTV. Bomba clot. Listen, we're not afraid for talk. First of all, the channel's name SouFLoTV is short for South Florida Television. It is a name that I came up with, coined the phrase, and made it my business name years ago before I even got on YouTube. Because I was born in Jamaica, but I was raised in South Florida. Ironically, the story we're about to speak of today, the clarity we're about to bring to this particular case, all happened in the state of Florida. As a matter of fact, we're talking about Cushane Damaya Carter, who is better known as CMR, and he and his wife and their children also reside in the state of Florida where I live. Right up my alley as to things to talk about. However, I have now a vested interest in this case. Why? Because I see that people are working overtime to sweep the truth under the rug. I also see that a lot of people are either A, ignorant of certain facts, or uneducated to certain aspects of this case. So I am going to do my best to break everything down so when you are done listening to this video, you have a full understanding of what is taking place. No, I will not have multiple slides of pictures going through this video. I want this one picture that you're looking at to stay right there. On the right side, that was Cushane Carter, CMR, standing in court with his attorney as they spoke to the judge during his bail hearing following his arrest, where he was released on $7,500 bond. To the right, or to the left rather, is the Orange County incarcerations. Listen, we are not making this up. This is government issued paperwork from the penal system that was made public for everybody's consumption. So we're going to go off of this law enforcement piece of paperwork, and we're going to break things down so everybody understands that this is not a game. This is not a joke. This man is accused of something very serious in our eyes. In other words, he's accused of something that we would say is a nastiness. Right, and I will tell you what is about to happen as well. If you keep looking at the paper, you will see at the top it starts out by saying Orange County incarcerations. It's because if you get incarcerated in the county, Orange County in Florida, you're going to have one of these, and it is going to be made public about what your charges are, what time you were arrested. As you can see, his booking number was there. As you can see, his gender is there. His age is there. As you can see, the cell he was in is there. The date he was booked, November 2nd of 2024, is right there. Somebody said, SouFlo, please don't use any of his old stuff because I think they went and put in some work to get those what is the word they call it? Expunged. So then they are going after everybody who has any of those. Well, this case is very much still open. November 2nd, 2024. Walk with me as I go down this paper. At the bottom there, you will see where it says charges, right? Okay. On the charges, you see case sequence 794. Case status. Notice I circled case status in red. We'll come back to that. Bond amount, it said here, was 0.00. That is when he was first arrested. However, he was eventually released on $7,500 bond. As well, you can also see arresting agency, which is the Apopka Police Department. The charge What was he charged with in order to be arrested and charged? Lewd, lascivious molestation on a victim who is less than 18 years old. At the bottom of that, you will see in parenthesis where it says VT, meaning victim. The victim was between the ages of 12 and 15 years old. All right. Now, the reason I put those two in red is because those are super important, and it will help everybody to understand and erase all doubts, so you know from now on where this case stands. I know you see a lot of stuff going on, and you see CMR still making videos and still posting family videos. You see his wife Chrissy still doing her thing as well, and it seems like everything is all good and okay. Well, let me break a couple of things down to you. So, first of all, you want to know what case status means when it says pre-sentenced. Okay. Pre-sentenced basically means that a defendant has been sentenced for a crime. However, pre-sentence investigation was ordered in this case. This is why the judge told him he is not to live with the victim. He is not to go with the judge specifically said you will no longer live with the child. The judge also said you will not go back to the scene of the crime. Those are the judge's words. For a judge to say you will not go back to the scene of the crime, the judge never said you will not go back to the house where what you are suspected of happened or might have happened. Watch the words. A judge is a highly learned individual. The judge said you will not go back to the scene of the crime. This is when, as he got ready to leave the courthouse, his attorney said, his court-appointed attorney, public defendant attorney, by the way, said, Your Honor, we have one request. And that one request was to go back to the house, escorted by police, so he could get the rest of his things out of that house. The judge said, I will grant that one time. Okay, this is where we also learned at the time that it was one of his children that was the perceived victim. And then, if you look back where it says his charge is circled in red, and it says lewd/lascivious molestation, that sign is less than equal 18. That's the less than sign. For those of us who went to school, took a little bit of math. You have the greater than sign, you have the less than sign. That's the less than equal 18, which means the person was less than 18. And then the parenthesis says the victim 12 to 15. So we simply did the math and said there are a group of girls in that house, and, well, who falls into that age group? That one. So the one that fell into that age group, everybody immediately were like, oh my God, oh my God. So this man been touching up his daughter, or been trying to get it on with his little daughter. And then, of course, you know, the whole conversation started about, is he really her father? Where is her dad? Why is he not stepping in? I won't answer those questions because I truly do not know. I heard that the real father, passed away from some people. From other people, I heard that he is just not around and all other kind of things. But this is not what my video is about. If you know that information, you can put that in the comment section, but that's not important. What's important is for you to understand what's going on with the case. So back to where it says pre-sentenced. Because a lot of his followers and subscribers and supporters are under the impression that people are telling lies on him. And he is good at keeping up the facade that nothing is happening and it's all good. This case is in a pre-sentenced mode, if you want to put it that way. A pre-sentence investigation has been ordered by the judge. Now, in a pre-sentence investigation, a probation officer conducts a background check and interviews the defendant and others to gather information about the crime and the defendant's history. This information is used to create a pre-sentence report that is provided to the judge, to the prosecutor, and to the defendant's attorney. Then there will be a pre-sentence hearing. So they will be heading back to court. And when they go back to court, there will be the pre-sentence hearing. Now, what happens in the pre-sentence hearing phase will be after the pre-sentence investigation is completed. I want y'all to walk with me now. The pre-sentence investigation is completed. The pre-sentence hearing will happen. In the pre-sentence hearing, a judge or jury reviews the information from the pre-sentence investigation and other factors to determine a sentence. The purpose of the hearing is to ensure a fair and just sentence. What does that tell y'all about to happen to this guy? Okay, he will be sentenced. Okay, now a pre-sentence investigation is required in almost all felony cases and some misdemeanor cases. The information that is gathered in the pre-sentence investigation can include the defendant's criminal history, the defendant's personal and family history, the defendant's mental and physical health, the defendant's substance abuse history, the defendant's education and employment history, the defendant's financial history, the defendant's ability to pay a fine or restitution, among other things. Okay? So this case right here is far from over. It is in process. That's why I can't understand how they're pretending like everything is all right and it's just going to blow over and just disappear. Listen, when your teenage daughter bypasses mommy and goes to school and complains that you came into her room while she was asleep next to her sibling and rubs her over her shoulders and then rub her breasts and then take her out of the bed and lay her at the foot of the bed on the floor and then remove her pants, pull them down to her knees, and then for some reason you stopped and you pull her pants back up and you put her back in the bed. Was it because you heard somebody coming, or you thought you heard somebody approaching, or was it because you were grooming her, trying to see how far you can go each time you do this, so the next time around you will actually do more? Interestingly, these are the words of Cushane Carter, aka CMR. These are the words of his stepdaughter, to the police, listed in the police report. Yes. So, with that happening, a judge, the court system, does not just say, go back to the house, everything is all right, it was a big misunderstanding. And furthermore, the same child told them that this has happened multiple times before. This was not the first time. This was not the second time. The child complained about 3 times altogether that you have done this. The child also expressed that she wants an adult, to speak to him about it, to tell him to stop, because she just wants it to stop. Okay, now that you understand the pre-sentence phase and that there is a pre-sentence investigation that was ordered by the judge and what happens there, and then the pre-sentence hearing that should follow and what will happen there, let's talk about what he is charged with. The lewd or lascivious molestation on a victim who is less than 18 years old, the victim being 12 to 15 years old. As you can see, it is circled right there. Look at it, circled in red. Okay. Now, in the state of Florida, lewd and lascivious molestation by an adult on a child who is older, 12 or older, but is still younger than 16. This is exactly where his crime falls. Let me read from the Law Journal for you. It says the crime of lewd or lascivious molestation by a person 18 or older, which he is 18 or older, he is 35. The crime of lewd or lascivious molestation by a person 18 or older on a child who is 12 or older, his victim, it says it on his paper, is between 12 to 15, but not 16 yet. And it says in the law, but younger than 16. This is a second-degree felony that is punishable by up to 15 years in prison. 15 years of sex offender probation and a $10,000 fine. The last thing you want to be on is on sex offenders probation, which it means you will have to register with the state's registry. It means that your face will be in the public registry and anybody can go look you up and see where you live, because you will be required to tell them where you live, and if you move, you will be required to contact them and let them know that you're moving. Also, I don't think he can do much under probation as traveling and moving around freely, etc., etc. So, under Florida's Criminal Punishment Code, lewd or lascivious molestation, look at the paper. Look at the paper. I have circled it for you. Lewd, lascivious molestation. Okay. Under Florida's Criminal Punishment Code, lewd or lascivious molestation by a person 18 or older on a child who is 12 or older but younger than 16 is assigned a level 7 offense severity rank, and absent prior history of criminal behavior or grounds for a downward departure sentence, a judge is required to sentence a person who is convicted of lewd or lascivious molestation by a person who is 18 or older on a child who is 12 or older but not yet 16 to a minimum of 51 months in prison, followed by at least 2 years of sex offender probation. So, for all the CMR supporters out there, and for those who are not sure, and people keep asking, okay, we don't know the status of the case, so why don't you leave it alone until more comes out? I see that you don't understand what's going on. So this video is especially for you. Let me give you that part again. He lives in the state of Florida, and under Florida's Criminal Punishment Code, lewd or lascivious molestation by a person who is 18 or older, which he is, he's 35, on a child who is 12 or older but younger than 16, which that young girl is. She's 13, right? This offense is assigned a level 7 offense severity ranking. And absent prior history, criminal history, if he does not have a prior criminal history or grounds for a downward departure sentence, a judge is required to sentence that person if they are convicted of lewd or lascivious molestation by a person 18 or older on a 12 or older child, but younger than 16, to a minimum of 51 months in prison. 51 months. There are 12 months in a year. I left school quite a while now. But if you divide 12 into 51, tell me what you get. Okay. So we're looking at 4 years and some months, right? 12 fours is 48. So we're looking at 4 years and 3 months. That is the minimum sentence that a judge is required to give to an individual who is convicted of this charge that Cushane Demaya Carter, aka CMR, has. This same charge carries greater time in other aspects, but I just looked into the law book and searched out the part that applies to him. Now, for those of you who might be wondering what a downward departure sentencing option in Florida is, it says that under Florida law, a person who is convicted of a felony must be sentenced pursuant to the Florida Criminal Punishment Code. And if a person scores prison under the Criminal Punishment Code, a judge must sentence the person to prison. Must. Unless the court finds valid grounds for a downward departure. The decision to depart from the minimum sentence mandated by the Criminal Punishment Code is a two-part process. So the first part is that the courts must decide whether there is evidence of mitigating circumstances that would support a downward departure sentence. Second, the court must determine whether it should impose a downward departure sentence. Importantly, imposing a downward departure sentence is entirely a discretionary decision, meaning that even if a judge finds evidence supporting a downward departure, the judge is not required to impose a downward departure sentence. Mitigating factors could be: provide a list of mitigating circumstances under which a downward departure sentence is justified. These mitigating circumstances are as follows. It could be that 1, the departure results from a legitimate, uncoerced plea bargain. 2, that the defendant was an accomplice to the offense and was a relatively minor participant in the criminal conduct. 3, the capacity of the defendant to appreciate the criminal nature of the conduct or to conform that conduct to the requirement of law was sustainably or substantially rather impaired. 4, the defendant required specialized treatment for a mental disorder that is unrelated to substance abuse or addiction, or for a physical disability, and the defendant is amenable to treatment. I think that's self-explanatory. 5, the need for payment of restitution to the victim outweighs the need for a prison sentence. In cases like these, they will make sure that the person goes to work so that they can collect money and give that restitution pay over to the victim. In such a case, not in this case, these are mitigating factors. 6, The victim was an initiator, willing participant, an aggressor, or a provoker of the incident. Now, I've looked up the law, and it says that in that case, being that he's 35 and that victim is between the ages of 12 and 15, they couldn't even use that right there. That would be used in a case where the victim is closer to the age of the person, the perpetrator, the defendant. And then that victim would most likely also be a teenager. Of course, there are others. There are about 13, 14 mitigating factors which you can find in the law. I'll read you another 3. So before the identity of the defendant was determined, the victim was substantially compensated. Or number 9, the defendant cooperated with the state to resolve the current offense or any other offenses. Number 10 is the offense was committed in an unsophisticated manner and was an isolated incident for which the defendant has shown remorse. Number 11, at the time of the offense, the defendant was too young to appreciate the consequences of the offense. That can't apply to him. He's 35 years old. He's also a military veteran, so he knows better. Number 12, the defendant is to be sentenced as a youthful offender. That's not going to apply to him either. Number 13, the defendant's offense is a nonviolent felony. The defendant's criminal punishment code score sheet total sentence points under 921.0024 or are 60 points or fewer, and the court determines that the defendant is amenable to the services of a port. It goes on and on. So we're going to leave it right there, okay? And you can go find out the 14th one. The defendant was making a good faith effort to obtain provide medical assistance for an individual experiencing a drug-related overdose, etc., etc. Other than that, he can't walk away from this. And he's definitely going to be seeing the judge again. This video, my friend, was made so you can have a clear understanding of where this case is in a pre-sentence mode, and the case also sits with pre-sentence investigation ordered by the judge, and then they will be back in court again where this will go further. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this out there so the truth can be heard. May the truth set you free. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.